Online. We have a next part of the audio art conference 2023. We have a unique opportunity to have a great artist with a long activity in media art, sound, programming, a great visual art, video art projects, also interactive installations. And by the way, he's known, performed many times, exposed many times installations. Cellular synthesis would be performed tomorrow instead of micro orchestra, which is a set change in general. But we escape and we came back to to the point of our first consideration, because the cellular synthesis installation was considered to be part of the audio festival. Now we have cellular synthesis performance installation on the end of the festival tomorrow. But before you will make a talk about some other items as I see from the title. So repeat what is the title? What is the final?
I have to read this title because it's strange for me. Around conditional arts and sound, own practices. So, okay, actually, we can start. Probably conditional arts is the term which is more cryptic part of the title, and there is a kind of long story behind this term. I think it was on beginning. I will be switching maybe in quite strange order, but it's okay. So I think this term was primarily coined to describe work of Robert Irwin, American artist, installator, painter, let's say experimentator. That was mostly visual arts. But anyway, what was most important for conditional arts in this case was that he was operating on very restricted set of simple qualities, like, I don't know, color itself, or light itself, or emptiness, or movement, etc., etc. Extremely simple, basic, fundamental elements. And he was also a leader of the movement called Light and Movement. Maybe this is also good description how this art was look like. But anyway, what was very important was this operating on a very clear set of qualities, and this art was in particular analog. There was no computers inside. I'm working with computer, and actually when now we are thinking about conditional arts, this electronic or digital factor became very important, because conditionals are also it's a name for instructions, for logical instructions in programming. So if you are writing program, you want to make this program, give agenda to the program, give it possibility to decide. You are using conditional instructions, and for this reason this term became, let's say, got second life, became popular again to describe some kinds of electronic arts, again mostly concentrated on very simple algorithmic stuff, but from the other hand, and let's say not concentrate on making very unclear, very complicated and very expensive works. So that was actually a difference, and when somebody is probably not engaged in media art, maybe thinking about high technologies, very elite stuff in expensive studio, but yeah, it's a one side, of course, one face. Another one is maybe we can use the same equipment that everybody is using, but in different way. So it's, let's say, more even punk method. What is also very important for now, that I used about algorithm. Algorithm actually is a word which really changed meaning, but also, let's say, emotional sounds, emotional color nowadays, because algorithm in logic, in mathematics, from ancient time, it was a description how to solve a problem using, let's say, clear ordered steps. So that was, you have a problem, you cannot solve it by your own, but you can find a description how you solve this problem. So that was algorithm. For now, it's totally different, because algorithms is a word used to describe decisions made somewhere by very complicated system we cannot understand, we're afraid those systems, etc. So this is totally different situation. And when I'm talking about algorithm, especially today, that will be about this primary meaning. But actually, why I want to talking about that? So let's go back. That's a project called Pink Melody, and let's say this is like Marek told at the beginning. I'm active quite long periods, actually decades already, and that was one of my first projects, and I'm still developing it and reworking in various ways. And that's a very old actually implementation from 20 years or something ago. And the project itself is very simple. So, I mean, to describe. So we have a musician playing on acoustic instrument. This acoustic sound is very important because acoustic sound is in some way is clear for the audience. If you listening somebody playing violin or cello or something, you know what kind of sound you expecting. If you playing on electronic stuff, that can be any sound. So this, let's say, strongly defined beginning is important. So musician is playing on the instrument, and this sound is sampled in real time, chopped into very small parts, small granules, and they are sent to various locations in internet over a mechanism very similar to ping command. Ping command is for checking status of your network connection. So you can send package of data somewhere and wait what happens. So maybe there was data returning to you, maybe no, maybe some can be reconfigured or broken or something, etc. So if you play this new sound, you have, let's say, a mirror of condition and of the network, shape of data traffic, etc., etc. So idea is, of course, very simple. That was another example on the same project, built on top of data traffic inside European Union. That was a special edition, and actually has, I don't know, 3 entities in the same time. So I'm operating on my electronic, there is also a musician improvising on acoustic instrument, and there is global data traffic as the third partner. And of course, maybe I can even switch. Now it looks like that. So that's the, let's say, most recent incarnation. So of course, to play with this kind of stuff, to build this kind of project, you have work a lot. It's a lot of programming, very boring stuff. You have actually between every single performance, I have to make new versions of serious parts of the software, because to be honest, it's really playing with security standards, because those kinds of data traffic is typically blocked by many services. So it's a lot of time. It's complicated, but I really like it. I think that's the final effect is very intricate. And when I started this project, it was in some way in contrary to net art. Because when I was young, I was totally disappointed by net art. Because net art was, for me, was too much relied on platforms, on stuff made by other things, on ready-made standards for communication. And I was thinking that this is, that will be a future of art in internet. And I was totally wrong, of course. So now all those problems are even stronger present. So most of the internet-based art is actually based now on social platforms. So there is very small room to hack them or actually do anything different than it was that was designed to. So that's very problematic for me. Of course, I was thinking a lot about that. This is very frustrating situation for the old dog like me, and actually, this is the reason that I was started thinking seriously about this conditional arts term, and how by operating on simple qualities, simple stuff, can I build something interesting. Let's say to find another way to work, which is of course not expensive, etc. But let's say which is building some kind of alternative present. Not a future, like most of the artists connected to media art are talking about, but present. So maybe what is a good example how it works in practice is actually evolution of one work which was originally developed for Warsaw Autumn Festival of 2010, oh my god, 30 years ago. And that was a very special edition of this festival because it was devoted to legacy of Frédéric Chopin. And Warsaw Autumn is actually more or less festival of contemporary music, so that was unusual. I was making my own work, this one, mapping Chopin, which was actually was quite expensive and big, and that was a mechanism, let's say, to reading score manually by moving on active space. But I was also in a team making one very special work with very long history, and that's obvious, so we can, I think, go. Well, I was in a team working on a different work for the same edition, and as I mentioned, this work has a very long story. So the story begins in 1981 when American filmmaker and artist Paul Szaritz was invited by Polish filmmaker and artist Józef Robakowski to visit his home. So Paul Szaritz was actually a very interesting artist, so it's really good to check him if you are not acquainted with the name. Filmmaker connect to idea of structural cinema, so it was actually using ultra reality of cinema as a basis for art, so I don't know, using sounds from video projector also, etc., etc. But he was also really concentrated on using most basic qualities of film, of the medium itself. So like, again, like just colors, just light or darkness, just sequence of frames. So conditional arts, you know, it is actually don't require a bigger explanation. Actually, on this photo, this guy looks very delicately, but I have to admit that he was, let's say, some kind of adventurous man, and even his death was a result of shooting in the bar. So he was shot in the stomach for some reason, nobody knows why. So very interesting person. So Szaritz was in Poland and asked Robakowski for some kind of extremely Polish experience, most deeply Polish you can imagine. And Robakowski feeded him with a lot of vodka, and then started to play Chopin's works on the gramophone. And Szaritz actually made a few works based on that experience. One was a short film, because he was drunken and he was just moving like a drunken man, feeling spirit of the music, And the second work was actually a sketch. Hello. Was actually a sketch describing how to convert direction of melodic line in Chopin's work into full colors of the video, and this work was later made as videotape by Robakowski and Michalak. Wiesław Michalak is another artist and graphic project. So in general, if melodic line is going up, we have more warm colors, cold colors when it's going down, and blue on the silent part. Very, very simple idea, actually. I think effect is very beautiful anyway. Much, let's say, much more interesting than most of DJing, in my opinion. But I was asked to help in turn this videotape into installation for Warsaw Autumn. And what we decided to do with colleagues, actually I think also the idea is very rudimentary, we decided to remove mechanical recording of the sound from the tape, to use this clavier Yamaha piano. So probably but this clavier has a servo mechanism inside the keyboard, so you can send the MIDI messages to play music on acoustic instrument, but without the pianist.
MIDI yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and actually, this instrument is a story actually itself, because it was used in many very important musical works and media artworks. However, also actually, what is very interesting, on beginning, it was designed by Yamaha for bars, as just pubs, just as a stuff to entertain entertain people, but it was never popular in, let's say, popular culture, because people in the pubs was very afraid to see instrument playing without the pianist. Especially if you are drunk, you see no pianist, but hear music and keys are, moving, you can be afraid, maybe something wrong is with you. So anyway, we decided to use this instrument also after this story about vodka and Szaritz. And to do that, I reconstructed nearly perfectly the same interpretation of the piece. So I just made a MIDI score to drive the piano. Maybe I can actually show how it works. But when I did that, when I synchronized this MIDI with colors again, I was started to thinking about the entire process. So my second thought was that I can ditch video recording too, because I can produce the colors algorithmically in the same way as I can produce sound from MIDI. Okay, maybe to be perfectly clear, so perfectly clear. That was a very rudimentary patch in Max MSP I was using for this work. That's different patch, and it's not rudimentary, but okay. This one is So it's the same. Of course, now sound is synthesized in computers, is ugly as hell, but you can see that the colors are actually stored in something like that. So actually I scanned all of the frames, frame by frame. So now there is a text file. I can also use just an algorithm developed by Sharitz. So actually there is no mechanical record in this work anymore. So of course this is maybe also important. So to be clear, there is no recorded sound. You can change instrument into anything. So and we showed this particular work on first on Warsaw Autumn, next in London in CGP Gallery. It's a very well, maybe not very small, quite small gallery with very good places after Old Church. This work was really nice showed there. But when I actually finished this project, I was still thinking about this general idea, because that on beginning there was a Chopin, next Sharitz, next Robakowski, Michalak, then me, and finally Beck was some kind of idea you can describe as a software, or I don't know, sketch, actually no mechanical representation. So I decided to ditch the last physical element from the work, which was a piano. And that was a mistake because it's my presentation, but okay, I can go to the presentation back, but I want to show you how this latest version looks like. We presented this version 1 year ago at VRO, and this is actually just a web page. So if we go for the web page, and if you can use your phones to do the same, that will be very helpful. Just load this this web page.
Okay.
Janicki.jp/al, because the main idea of this was that all of the devices are synchronized in time. So if there are more of them, I can do that also on my phone.
Ściszysz troszeczkę, Paweł, tam na tym, to będzie słychać nas też.
Tutaj, słusznie.
Masz na tym naszym dużym knob, wiesz tam.
So this is something which creates very, very intimate situation. It's return to very, very small, cozy situation. What was very funny for people in gallery space, we was telling them that actually they can bring the work to home. They can just note the name of the web page, and that's all. You can use that for playing with kids, etc. So that was actually very, very interesting, let's say, final stage of this work. For now, I don't know what can I remove from the work again. I think it's the last stage, so I cannot do anymore. So this is maybe the good example of what this conditional art can be, and also what is maybe interesting. I think I have quite bigger than most of musicians experience in experimenting with audio in context of exhibition spaces. So not in the concert or performance, not in some kind of playing, but rather, I have one interesting story about this one more, but how to operate with sound in typical exhibition conditions, when the sounds are mixed with other sounds because there are many works in the same time, when people are talking to themselves, when, I don't know, loudspeakers are very shitty sometimes. So this is also, I think, connected to this conditional art topic. I will be talking about that more later. There is one very strange story about this attention light work, because when we presented this work in London, we was contacted with guys from famous, I think, still famous hip hop artist Kanye West, who was actually working on new album. So he was working on new album and video for the album, and because the title of the album was about light, he was looking for references to existing art pieces about light. So he was very delighted with attention light, and what is I think it's a brilliant video, because maybe you can see it's a visual representation of something. So for example, this fragment is shaped after introduction to famous film by Gaspar Noé, Enter the Void. So actually every single sequence in this video is maybe not the sampling per se, but it's stylized on something existing. So I think it's a very nice idea. So of course all of the stars, you know, so Rihanna, etc. But on the end we have attention light very fast form. So even Frédéric Chopin is performing with Rihanna, or Rihanna with Frédéric Chopin. I don't know how to make it. Okay, so now another example, more nerdy, I think, this time. Probably that will be more new information for you. So the one element I have to introduce, or one term, is core wars. Do you know something about that? Ah, that's cool. So, so I can explain. So, core wars was kind of, let's say, entertainment stuff for programists in mid-80s, and the idea was to run programs into controlled environment, and those programs are trying to destroy each other, to make a crash in the opponent program, and that was called Core Wars. That was special programming language designed for that, and some people was treating this idea extremely seriously, even making genetic or early AI algorithms to produce programs to fight with another program. So you can imagine this. That was, let's say, underground kind of entertainment, but treated very serious. And that was looking, for example, like that. So that's the programming language, very like assembler. And there was also visual representation of the memory where the programs were located. What was very funny, the language for this activity was stylized. So the memory was arena, the programs was warriors, etc. So really crazy. So that's a more developed version, and more and more. And you can see that if we are looking on this memory, changes in the memory, actually the patterns are very interesting. Even if you are not interested in this crazy competitive elements, the visual or actually rhythmical effect is something which is, let's say, worth to check or play with. Also, what was very interesting for me was actually philosophical consequences of this way of thinking, because if the programs are trying to destroy each other, maybe they can develop some features which even can destroy more things. For example, can crash entire computer on which the program is running. So I also made a special system to, let's say, genetically build programs from scratch to allow them to evolve, and so they was actually evolving. I was trying to check what happens, and that was true that finally, after long evolution, the programs was developing ability to crash the computer, you know, like they broke up from the matrix, let's say. So that was something like that. So I built an interactive installation, actually not interactive, yeah, just installation, based on that idea. So this is the system which is running in loop and evolving, and actually every few days, when run it from scratch, every few days, after a few days was one crash, when the software found an idea how to totally destroy the system. So I was actually collecting all of the let's say late stages of the evolution. Now I'm thinking what to do with them. It's maybe material for another work. Of course, extremely aggressive computer viruses for now. And also I'm talking about this work because that was a part of the bigger solo exhibition I prepared a few years ago, when the problem how to compose many works with sound layers was very important for me. So this is what I mentioned before. So that was, you can hear one work with actually very clear sound, because that was, they are just the clicks, nothing, I don't know, very deep, nothing tonal, etc. And this work was located in the same space where was this one. This one was called aleastock, like aleatorism, but also like a stock market, because it was using real-time data about cryptocurrencies to drive the audiovisual composition. So still, as you can see, it's based on this conditional arts approach. So the basic qualities are the main building blocks. There is nothing, I don't know, like ornament or something. But for example, in this case, the final effect is very complex, actually nearly hypnagogic, because this visual representation of the transactions, changes, etc., is very rich. And what is probably very important, if you see this kind of data as a spreadsheet in, I don't know, Excel or something, it's really hard to understand them. But when we are watching this representation, maybe we cannot analyze them, but we can feel them. We see that some processes are ordered, there is not just a chaos, there are some elements of order inside. And there was a simple interactive method to interact with this installation to change the cryptocurrency you want to check. So those two installations actually are played in very similar spectra, very similar sound. And there was third one, in the same space, playing on very low frequencies, nearly infra. And actually this is also connected to economy in some way. And that was called electricity, light and money without us. And you can see there will be more precise image in a moment. We have three devices attached to this installation, and in every single device there is a voltmeter to measure electricity level, and a special battery I made for the work. So maybe you know, if you are a kid, you can make a battery from coins. You can put copper coin, aluminium coin, copper coin, aluminium coin several times with salt water and paper between them, and you can produce electricity from them. So that was my idea. Okay, maybe let's check what is the real energetic price of the money. You can check the final material value, you know, of the money, and that was actually very interesting because I don't know, sometimes coins which are very cheap from currencies which has no value are producing more energy than currencies which are very expensive. So I even prepared some, let's say, collections, like, I don't know, some dollars, some yens, some yuans, and maybe some Polish złotych, etc. And like packages for potential investors. Okay, you want to invest in energy, you can check how it works. And that was a single one exhibition. As you can see, on one level there was a conditional art approach in every single work, but also the correlation between works was very important, because all the soundtrack was actually working in the same time, in the same space, without any problems, because you can simply recognize which sound is from which work. They are working, maybe not like orchestra, but let's say environment which has a sense. And maybe I will show you another work from the same exposition, because it's also touching this idea of using mobile devices in synchronized way. So it was called Tanganyika. That was a table, a lamp, and the cup with plastic keys taken from the computer keyboard. And there was hot air inside the cup, and it was connected to electricity. So when somebody was around, the hot air was starting to melt the keys. So that was melting meanings, melting senses. Of course, in the same time, the smoke from the keys was toxic, and the smell was also really disgusting. Actually, a lot of people was very angry on me. However, there was also connoisseurs, small, sniffing that, so you never know. But what was very important, that when you was around, your mobile device was starting to play sound and light in synchronization with this lamp. So that was again very intimate, small situation, joining people for the moment. No building very big stuff or very complicated, rather something which is very, very rudimentary. And the installation was actually devoted to three important persons, to Francis Barton, I mean this historical Francis Barton, not the football player, American football player, but the famous translator. For example, he was the first translator of Arabian Nights into European languages, also poet and, let's say, homegrown philosopher, actually also very famous swordsman, probably one of the best swordsmen in the entire Europe. Also Al-Khwarizmi, Persian mathematician and philosopher who actually developed idea of algorithm. So algorithm is is destructed name of algorithm is the same, and of course Assange, who was arrested in the same time. So again, very simple factors used to create something, and maybe to go out from this nerdy stuff I showed before, and also to show you some things we actually made at the Wro Art Center in this year, and that's not my work, but I was some kind of I don't know, I was consulting some stuff here, but it's totally different in let's say in the nature. It's by Vitalina Mokamedova, and this is maybe also very important because from 2 years actually nearly half of our team is from Ukraine. The reason is of course obvious, and most of those people are very young, sometimes teenagers, and they are working with us, but we are also trying to put some additional value in that cooperation. And one of those tries is to provide for them fast tracks in learnings, interactive techniques, and let's say to help to build interactive work, for example. And Vita made this work. It's a kind of prototype, so maybe look is, you know, very
W tym roku było na tym biennalach we Wrocławiu, to pamiętam. No.
So it is called metal immersion. We have, I forgot how many, I think 8 small metal elements, like key, spoon, knife, coin, etc. And because Vita has synesthesia, so she can, I don't know, smell colors and see sounds. She composed a soundtrack for every metal element to, let's say, to reflect the synesthesia effect she feels. And when you immerse the element in the water, so this is immersion, you can hear the sound. More sounds can be layered together. Maybe it's not a composition, but let's say some kind of environment at least. This is how it works. And another work which is, I don't know, based on this combination of conditional arts and ultra reality, we made in 2015. It was called Skate Concrete, and we recorded a skate park, let's say illegal skate park in Brazil, and we turned in São Paulo, and we turned Wro Art Center into temporary skate park, because actually the sounds was very interesting. The sounds from the recordings was very intricate. So one, we built interactive installation based on the records. That was nine monitors and 9 soundtracks mixed together, and people was able to, you can see, scratch, make it faster, etc., etc. But also there was a place for skaters just in our gallery space. So the sound was part on record, but part was really real-time generated. Actually, that was very problematic because we have a library downstairs, and you can imagine that people from library was not very happy about this barbarian situation. Yeah, but that's the record from Brazil, of course, and this is from there. Okay. So, now let's go back to cellular synthesis, which will be performed tomorrow. And this is actually something which is strongly based on conditional arts idea. And there are actually two important, nearly technical, let's say, elements in this piece. One is that the work is based on additive synthesis. So you actually know what additive synthesis is, but basically you are composing your sounds from rudimentary simple elements. So this is conditional arts. You are composing, for example, sinusoidal waves to design square wave. And I don't know, Marek probably is very acquainted with those problems, but additive synthesis has big potential, but is, let's say, not very intuitive and not very handy when you're trying to work with them, because you have so many parameters to control. If you have thousands of oscillations, you have to control at least thousands of parameters. So I was thinking actually how to work with additive synthesis in a way which is interesting to me, and I decided to use something which is called cellular automaton. So this is a mathematical construct. There was at least a few important authors active on that field. So John von Neumann, definitely, probably John Merton Conway is most famous one. Maybe so of course the cellular automaton is a mathematical concept when you have a matrix of elements, and state of every element in the matrix is derived from the state of the neighbors on the matrix in the one generation earlier. So I don't know, you can imagine that cell is white when it has 3 or 4 white neighbors, if no, is black, etc. That's the very simple rule. You can make some more complicated rules, but what is very interesting in this mechanism, and that was actually discovered by Stephen Wolfram, the let's say most famous modern researchers on that field. Wolfram figured out that if you are making the rules of your cellular automaton more complicated, the behavior of cellular automaton will be not more complicated, will be simpler or the same. So you have to stay on some level of simplicity to of the rules to create interesting behaviors. And there are very different flavors of cellular automaton. So this one is Conway one is most probably most popular. But for example, the grid don't need to be rectangular. Maybe why not 6 fields around. So you can build a lot of types. What is also very interesting, I mean humans, have some kind of ability to see patterns very similar to cellular automaton in natural world. For some reason, nobody knows why. There are many ideas about that, but nobody sure. I will go back to that later. And the same is with art. So, for example, this is one of cellular automatons I developed for myself just for experimentation. And this is a work by Ryszard Winiarski, Polish artist, who was, you can see, he was working with, not with computer, however, he was acquainted with computers, but it's it's a sculpture, right? So it's a wood, etc. But it's really, really similar to cellular automaton. I will go back to this topic later because it's very interesting. So, on beginning, actually, when I was experimenting with cellular automatons, I was also making totally complicated set of rules. I was using actually every strange quotation I was able to even not understand, just to find somewhere in the book to check, you know. But that was true. That was the behaviors was not very interesting. But when I actually I was disappointed, so I ditched the work for a few years. But I go back to that, and after reading Wolfram about simplicity stuff, I figure out that yeah, that's true. I can use very simple set of rules with very simple approach. That every cell of the matrix is controlling one oscillator of additive synthesizer. So, extremely simple idea. And effects started to be actually, I mean, the sonic effect was much more interesting. So I don't know how to actually name it because it's something between synthesizer, compositional system. There is some visual part, but it's not a visualization. Really, it's amorphic score. I don't know how to name it. Oh, for example, this is another one. And another one. So of course I can choose which parameter of the cellular automaton connect to which parameter of the oscillator, and there is still a lot of room to play with. Yeah, so that's another one. And and that's more or less the version which I'm playing now, so that tomorrow's performance will be based on that system. Yeah, so probably you can got my point very clearly, how you can create very complex stuff from very simple set of rules. Also, this is actually installation version of the works. It looks totally different, but the mathematics is totally the same. Maybe there's one interesting element here, because this part of the image is made with a laser. The ILDA laser typically used in clubs, and I decided to experiment with this laser because it's very simple. This laser is controlled actually like the old CRT screens, because you have the beam and you have to draw something. You have to direct the beam line by line somewhere, basically like old TVs. That was actually very fun. But maybe this is for another occasion. Oh, maybe no, maybe this one. So another important factor which is connected to conditional art is that this is an approach which works actually independently audience characteristics. So you can actually use the same ideas in works for kids, for adults, etc. And for example, this is a video from exhibition for kids we made several years ago, and I made all of those simple, very simple programs, and actually every program is based on one important idea in culture or in science. So we have feedback loop, which is of course very important. There is ASCII art. There is ASCII art here, so you can make representation from letters from itself. There was also a cellular automaton, etc., etc. And those strategies can be simple, transferred between different kind of audience. Actually, maybe I can go back to show you. So, for example, that is one of my works called Vibra. It's a work which is sonifying data from internet. Actually, it's scanning every possible connection it has access to, and you can hear and feel the data because they are connected to bone conducting systems. So it's rather not emitted by air like here, but you have to touch to your bones and the stuff to hear that. And you can see it's of course just normal audience in a general space, but I also made a version for kids, which was also let's say very successful work, and I was also very proud that it was teaching basics of acoustics, because we bring some caps, for example, to build loudspeaker ad hoc, so you don't need to use your body if you don't want to. You can just use build a speaker. Of course, the sonic content was quite different in the version for kids, because it was, let's say, less glitchy, more melodic, actually, more pleasant, so to speak. Okay. This is I think also very good example how it works in terms of real conditions of exhibition space sometimes. So that was a big project on Market Square in Wrocław, just musical grid, and it was very rudimentary. See, there is a platform, every grid has of course sounds, we have different tunings, but and the camera upstairs monitoring everything, because you can see actually here how it works. So there was no sensors in the platform, just motion tracking system, and it's very simple. But I think what is very, very important in case of this work, it can be accessed by multiple audience in the same time. So it's not like a VR, for example, where we are isolated from surroundings. So that was, of course, totally different behaviors between different people. Actually, I have no records from that, but because there are many clubs on the Market Square at night, that was totally different audience with more ravey, let's say, behavior than kids. And it's, I think, more or less the last one thing I want to show you. Let's say to conclude stuff. Probably this is strange statement, but I really have to say that a lot of things I'm doing is inspired by work of another artists. So I think it's obvious, it should be obvious for artists, but nobody wants to admit that, because everybody is afraid that, well, yeah, I should invent everything by myself or something like that. But I was really thinking how the same rudimentary ideas or actually algorithms of creating visual and audio qualities are hard-coded in our minds. and maybe this is a good example. This is, sorry for, it's in Polish, but anyway, it's that was a Polish artist from mostly active in 20 years between First and Second World War, Tytus Czyżewski. He was one of leaders of a group called Formis, and there was a Polish modernist. So actually that was a Polish incarnation of modernism, or maybe futurism, even better, futurism. And that was a visual poetry he composed. Actually, that's very strange because, yeah, this is actually a poem about telephone lines and transmission of information between hardware and brain. So it was absolutely, you know, prophetic stuff. And this is another visual poetry by this artist called Mechanical Garden. As you can see, we have flowers with names of the flowers in old style Polish, and we have butterflies also named. 2 rectangles are butterfly, 1 rectangle is flower. There are several versions of this poem with more butterflies, etc. And you can see this is an image from 20th of 20th century, but look on this image from probably 13th or century from China, 6 persons by Mucci. Of course, the references was different, the times was different, but definitely the logic behind both images are very similar. And this is actually also a very strange example. Once when I visited Lipsk, I found this place, was thinking about this and this, you know, that was very, very similar to me. So I was trying to check what the hell is that actually, and it's an artwork by a German artist, probably with Polish roots, Claussen, and it's some kind of mechanical garden invented by himself. And this place actually was very popular illegal parking. So the municipality decided to make a competition how to do in this space something which will be keeping the grass but prevent parking. So of course this forest of parking signals is probably the best idea of solving this problem. Oh, that's the end actually, but I can also show you because I was also working on this. I will find it. I was also working on interactive version of this piece, and I actually developed something very simple. But we have the same flowers, butterflies, but also very simple interactive system. Maybe I can use, because it's quite dark here, so I can use my phone. So it's never-ending game, because when we are moving in front of the camera, flowers are growing, touching butterflies, explosions destroying butterflies and flowers, but they are regenerating again and again. It's on the webpage on tetoki.eu, so if you want to check it at home, it's absolutely freely available. And again, it's something which in the same time is playing with visual, movement and music. And also, as you can see, this is actually maybe quite funny, because a few months ago we decided that every country, when we have a presentation from VRO and people want different language, we are preparing different language. So we have of course Ukrainian, Polish, English, Romanian, I forgot, this is Greek, I think. Yeah, this is Greek, and several other languages are on the way. So, okay, this is the end, I think, of the presentation. Maybe not the academic lecture, but I wanted to share this approach as something which I hope will be valuable for others. What is, I think, very important for me is that from perspective of media artists, again, I think this is very important to say that there are two big challenges for media art nowadays. One is growing, let's say, is kind of sandboxing. So still more and more works are based on existing platforms developed for artists. So I don't know, if you are account manager, you are buying Excel, probably. If you want to feel like media artist, you can buy, I don't know, Max MSP or Photoshop or something. And they are of course great environments, and also using them is nothing wrong with that. But it is also very good idea to think how to overcome the restrictions of the sandboxes. And I think that the one of possible solution is not to be really attached to cutting edge expensive stuff, rather to ideas you can develop even with piece of paper. So if you have, I don't know, bad times, you can always, if you have no money for new laptop, you can still develop new ideas. Of course, if you have big resources, etc., you can build huge installation based on the same approach. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Yeah, of course, if you have some questions. Also unofficial questions later.
You know, the question is, where, excuse me, what's your name? Where from? On the end of the lecture.
Well, that, for me, the most annoying question for me when I was for years teaching in Poznań Art School interactive techniques, actually. So when I was finishing, let's say, complicated project, the workflow about making something interactive, the most typical question was, and can you tell me how to make a video from that, because I have to provide artwork for video class, so that will be very easy if I made that. That was a horror for me. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Some questions.
Sure.
That's me.
Not easy.
Yeah,
Not easy.
it's messy actually.
I really share with you this idea of art as something that should be more accessible. So, for example, your artwork in the public space, I think is really interesting. Yeah, that's not a question. Also, the idea of using smartphones. That is really interesting, because everyone has a smartphone. So this idea of connection between different experience merged together in one place at a time. Yeah, I think it's nice. In a more practical way, how you do that? I mean, you use some programs or
yeah. So that's the question about platforms also. And let's say most of my works if we are speaking about this, let's say, software layer, right? So most of the software parts are Frankensteined from a few systems and languages I'm using, because it's the fastest way to work. So they are ugly in terms of technical excellence, but they are work. So typically I'm using Max, MSP, PD or Super Collider to make sounds. If so, PD and Max MSP are, let's say, modular synthesizers, most popular.
PD is a part of Max or
No,
something
no.
different?
PD is a separate system, open sourced one. So for each sometimes PD is better, sometimes Max, because if you, for example, want to run something on Raspberry Pi or on Linux, PD is better because it works natively on Linux.
Okay, okay. So,
And
sorry, PD, what?
Max,
No,
Super Collider.
PD Super Collider.
Super Collider, yeah.
Oh,
So
it's
it's third one.
Oh, it's a third. Okay,
It's,
okay, perfect.
And Super Collider is a programming language, so it's not environment when we are connecting things graphically, but we are making kind of high-level code.
Mm-hmm.
And for general logic in programs, sometimes for more complicated visual parts, I'm programming them in processing or just in C++. If you want to go somewhere deep. So for Ping Melody, for the first project I showed, to capture data flow from networks, you really have to go deep into hardcore programming. There are no tools for that. And and for smartphones, that's maybe good question, because I think that it's a very good idea to build things that are not forcing people to install anything on.
Sure.
So I'm just using web pages, JavaScript inside web pages.
Yeah.
It's of course that has some restrictions, but it's lightweight and you can always do that.
Yeah, I also share this view with you, because I think that installing apps is something more, that keep the viewer distant from the artwork, and so it's more accessible to just maybe scan a QR code and view a website. It's more accessible. For example, I use P5.js to.
It's a very good framework. Yeah. That.
Because there are a lot of libraries that can be used, and there are a lot of tutorials and stuff like that. So.
I'm very proud because I made a motion capture library for P5.js Vida.
You made Vida?
Yeah.
Oh, wow! I just using Vida for a project that I'm doing.
It's very cool. I'm very happy. I have a new version on the pipeline. I have to finally finish it. More clear, let's say. The old one is messy. Yeah, I think the P5.js is really big game changer in world of creative programming. That's true. I can show you something, guys. Maybe that's interesting case. And a moment about stuff in using mobile devices, but also I think also public spaces. Where I have that? No, this one, maybe this one. This one. Okay, cool. That's a nice story, I think. So that is a work I made in 2018 in France. So this is
first time is always difficult.
So that was
sometimes intuition.
That was a building in front of the National Library of Paris.
There's no library at the moment.
Let's say
at the moment.
Height
or is it still running?
Location. And they asked me to prepare something interactive. So I used this this projection stuff, but also smartphones of visitors just to change various parameters of projection that will be visible in the moment. And what was very interesting, actually that was a big project, by Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Embassy, Jesus, all of that stuff. And they asked me, you should do something which is based on Polish literature in connection to French literature because of this neighborhood of National Library. So there is a Polish book, the script found at Saragossa by Jan Potocki. And this book is made by Polish author, but originally in French, because it's from 18th century, because as most of the aristocracy, French was his first language. And there is one chapter in this book, especially funny for me, about the guy called geometer, mathematician, but it's just kind of the nerd. And this guy is writing a book about mathematics, about small numbers and big numbers. And this book is interpreted by King as a political pamphlet. And guy has a lot of problems, and finally he's forced to work for the army to calculate trajectories for artillery. So it's like a metaphor for, a lot of nerds actually nowadays. Also, my grandfather actually was an engineer in military, specialized in sabotage, so personally for me it was very interesting. So I made project based on this story, and I was especially fundamentally interested in this moment when something is totally not connected to politics, but it's interpreted as politics. And I explained that to guys from Polish Embassy. And they told me that, but when you are telling that it's not about politics, that everybody will be thinking that this is about politics. So everybody will be thinking that this king is our president now. And there was a lot of mess on this level. So it was like, a feedback loop in history, complete absurd. So I think this is maybe also a good case, But anyway, that was very nice to give some simple agenda for people on the street to choose different fragments of the story, to choose visualization. Visualization was based on, let's say, an image like a library with books, so that was correspondence with this National Library. Okay, so thank you again.
Thanks a lot. Make a short break. Martina Claussen is with us, and
Hello.
Just no, don't worry. Yeah, okay. Let's make like as I said, 5-minute break.
Yes.
No. You can go for a cigarette. You can go to get the drink downstairs, because when you go upstairs, it takes a little bit more time.
Extremely fantastic coffee downstairs.
Oh, here we go.
This
tried it.
This Scottish cappuccino. Scottish cappuccino.
With no real alcohol, unfortunately, but still very good.
Very nice mixture of the not tequila, because I should recommend you, even if it goes live now, I recommend you the alcohol, which is called Desperados. Perhaps you know.
Of course.
Desperados, when you buy it
Just
here,
for me.
then you see the description. This is the mixture between tequila and beer. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a flavor. It's not real tequila inside.
That's another story. But wait a minute. I remember I had a concert in Chicago, and then just before the concert, I saw the liquor store, downstairs, run by Mexicans. So I show up and said, "Oh, great! Hello! I need tequila." And they said, "What?" Well, tequila, the famous drink, you know, in Europe, you know, the mixture between your tequila and beer. What? So I say, okay, never mind. Okay, I can get this. Okay, I get another drink. And next day, I came to the largest supermarket, Mexican supermarket in Chicago. Huge. And of course, my first question was Desperados. Oh, I need to see the variety of Desperados here, and the same reaction. No reaction. So then I checked, but then I gave up because I said there's no there's a crap or
and
trick.
trap, yeah.
And what is it?
Good name for a
Then
piece.
when I get back, I read carefully what is written. You know what is written? That is the beautiful idea of a French brewery. They produce it only for Europe. Desperados, the mixture between tequila and beer. It's completely unknown in Mexico. In fact, I was also in Mexico, Morelia, Mexico City. Of course, they repeat the same story like in Chicago, so nothing like this. But as a conclusion, it's a really great taste, to be honest. And of course, when you start to make an investigation, a research, and then you are saying, this is not like this, then I remind you that, in fact, we shouldn't be trapped from that direction, that we in advance we know what is good, what is bad. This is another story, and in fact we are in another trap because we think that we are the expert of special kind of. Well, I'm a kind of expert of Chilean wine, for example, because I spent some time, and there was a big discovery comparing to French. Okay. And really, but when you go there to these mountains, you know, and you see those plateaus, then it makes sense because the temperature, the whole exposition of the sun is amazing there. This, you know, slim country with this tectonic exposition, it's amazing in fact. So you can, and then after the Christian, for example, lecture yesterday with his magical stories. Then you can open another investigation because there are a lot of spiritual, really amazing, esoteric stories behind, connected with China reference, which makes remark in Lima is quite close to Lima Chinatown, for example. That was my discovery, anthropological discovery, that this pre-Inc anthropological model is so close to Chinese in a way. So those are the facts, even though they are short, like 1 week only, but then you are really shocked by this short visit, by a lot of elements which are consensus that are really important, mainly to understand the place, the space.
Yeah.
So the taste is one of them, I think. And
the context is another one.
yes. So yeah, somebody told me I don't drink martini, for example, but somebody told me that he discovered the new non-alcohol martinis. It's a really deep, as deep that they are deeper than the real martini. And then I said I cannot check it because how I can check it. So Martina.
So let's connect.
Yes, here you are.
Przepraszam. There is a way that I can contact you, maybe an email or
For
something.
example, if you want to know email
Yes,
address,
yes.
but I have a web page, it's paweljaniski.jp, and there are email on the web page,
Okay,
so
perfect.
it's very easy. Or you can ask Marek for my email always. So if you have any question, just
No, I'm really interested about your workflow. I mean, how you manage to all, because you work alone or imagine not.
sometimes in group, sometimes alone. It depends on the project.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Do you have
when I was, let's say, very young, on beginning, I was started in punk rock bands. And I was totally
I should have, but I don't have it this time.
tired with working with
What
other
we
people.
can do though,
So I decided to learn basic of
what we
electronics
can
to
do,
be able to do something by myself. When I started making installations, nobody
I'm talking about
was
the
really
iPad,
into
about the
helping me.
iPhone.
So
There
to
is
build
no-
something, to make interactive stuff, I was forced to learn basic
It's
programming.
not only
etc.
Google
So
that is
I
confusing.
think I can work alone on most of the stuff, not all of
So
that,
here we go.
but also sometimes it's much better to work
We have the
with
power
people.
here.
I'm
But
seeing
I-
Cubans
Yeah, because
from social,
Yeah,
interconnection.
of course, and also because you can know everything. I mean, I know a little of programming and stuff like that, but if I want to make
So
a
we
bigger
can also
project,
talk. I mean, I have prepared something.
I have
You
to
need to
talk
talk
about
about
other
this.
people, you know,
Yeah, it's
programmers
but
and
don't worry, don't worry.
Oh, it's
we
fine.
are
I
really
love
free,
it.
so
open,
yeah.
open space here.
Um,
No problem.
Also,
Okay,
your
perfect.
work.
Well, hello. We are in between, but you see this.
For
so
example,
I don't need
the
to
last,
explain it.
you
Okay,
you
We are just
connected
before the
the
next
other
presentation,
section, so you
which
made
is quite
physical
logical.
connection
We
and
have
digital
to
connection, or someone
set up.
else
Mhm.
has
Yeah.
done that.
This kind of lasers are controlled over a special protocol
Hmm.
called ILDA,
Yeah.
and actually it's analog interface. So
Mhm.
what you are sending to laser are messages, direct beam here, on here,
Yeah.
or here, yeah? And you can control these devices, actually you can control devices producing those voltage controls, let's say,
Oh, okay.
from computer. I made
Mm.
a simple software in C++ to do that.
Mm.
But I think, for example, how is the name? Touch Designer.
Yeah.
Touch Designer
use
can
Touch
do
it,
that
okay,
from
yeah.
has a block
Yes,
program.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so
ILDA stuff.
perfect. So you, yeah, I use Touch Designer, so it's a good way of thinking a project for me.
Mhm.
Node-based programming, so I can visualize all the pieces together.
I think it's very flexible piece of software. A lot of people using that. Yeah.
I like your idea of do it yourself, and you know all the programs I do it. Yeah, but
In fact, we are, the audio art and the conference which I run here is just before the massive education. In fact, this is massive education which we are doing. So we are before hardware hacking, circuit bending on audiosphere class,
Ah.
which he is part of.
Ah.
So that's what I mentioned a little bit. Like yesterday, I show up on the stage, even though there are lectures here running, and we have a lecture there, and they're coming calm. And part of the group is saying, "Oh, we apologize. We want to leave today." So I'm coming like crazy by electric scooter, to be in 3 places. And there's a change, They want to go out. This time. But last Friday, which was just on the beginning of the festival, they came like a massive group. Yes, there were like 12 people
well,
1 week ago
oh,
on Intermedia, on Karmelicka 16. You are part of this group.
you sure?
Well, I'm not sure whether you were, but I'm sure that the group was biggest, and they even that they've got the message before they didn't show up. So I made this introduction to SoundOut, just 3 hours before the opening of the festival, and they came finally. So it was a great conclusion, in fact.
We should take.
But sometimes we are like, on different layers.
Yeah, it's very confusing sometimes.
Well, the problem is that we are sending the information, but I know also that it's a little bit like like an ocean of things going on all the time. And the story is how to deliver the message to be received in a right moment, I think. But I love also those beautiful coincidences when the people, the unknown group is showing up, I remember during my festival like 5 years ago, they asked me to make a lecture quite close to Krikoteca, and we're running a very nice installation with the aquariums, with the Vietnamese artists playing with Stefan Ostersjö, maybe you know him, okay, from Sweden, from Malmö. And then I said, excuse me, I leave you, the people are here, okay, I have a lecture now on the place quite close here. They coming there, and there's like 300 people on an industrial hall, laying on leżak, you know, like this.
Laying on leżak.
And then leżak, you know, like this not materace, but the special beach chair, you know. And they introduced me, and I start to make a speech about Audio Art Festival. And half of them came to the festival just after. So by coincidence, I'm coming to the people, and then I grabbed those people at the last moment. They were not. I didn't have any idea that I will meet them. I didn't know where I'm going. I was expecting things like here, and hundreds of them there. Okay, but finally, you are getting this bigger group then, and they are so happy to come to another place, and then they make a break after the conference they were part of. So those are the beautiful coincidences. The only thing is just to be happy with this.
Beautiful moments.
I think it's also about that those beach chairs scared me, because sometimes you need a PhD on mathematical topology to probably to construct this chair in a good way. You know?
Yes, that's true. So good morning, not yet. okay. Let's wait like this. Now we start the public.
The monitor, no?
You need the monitor, okay? There's the remote. Okay, we start here. Should work. Sometimes not, but get the connection. Already, get the connection. In certain moment we kill the light, because then
Yes,
will be better for the screen if you are running the screen. But I will continue after the applause. We applauded to the applause belongs to Martina Claussen from Vienna. We have a great opportunity to have her. Since yesterday there was a concert of Anma duo, mixed Polish-Austrian, Austrian-Polish. Austrian is on A, so it's first. Okay. Duo, and then we have a great opportunity to have Martina here, part of the you have the biography, part of the Audio Art conference. We are running this season for many years. I think 97. I think it was the first, and then officially from 2003 there was a certain kind of agreement between the festival and the Academy of Music. So we run since then. So for 20 years we run this as a very important consensus between the festival and this education goes on. Oh, there are many others, but this is quite important to have artists here. And this is a very special opportunity. You know what? She played yesterday and she make a presentation today. Usually it's just another. So that's great. You can make a very special post-introduction to your concert. Well, it can be also, even from certain point, quite interesting to explain what happened, not to promote what will happen, because, by the way, I don't like it when we are getting too many information before the show, because then in regular story we know who came, the biography, what is this about, and then we expect it, what we will get informed. That's why I prefer to have a clean perception of the things which we don't know. Sometimes it's well, okay, I cannot go right.
Martina!
I've got it, yeah. Martina Claussen.
Yeah, thank you, Marek,
Yes,
for
my
the
pleasure.
invitation. So I'm really glad
Ah,
to be here and to have this chance to talk a little bit about my work, but also maybe there are questions I don't know, or something, or some thoughts on your end, which is really welcome, of course. So I think I will start just briefly with the biography. As you can see, just several studies I have done, like classical, classical singing, voice diploma and composition diploma. All these things you do these days to learn and to mix with other people who have the same ideas about not the same ideas, but who are interested in similar things. Let me word it like that. And so I come mainly from a classical background and was very happy for quite a long time to work in that area. And then about like 10 years ago, I was more and more looking for something adventurous, something more interesting, or newish, or something different to do with my voice, you know. And then I happened to be in a concert with electronic music and instruments and voices, and then I thought, this is exactly it. This is what I would like to explore, would I like to dive into. And since then I did this in Vienna at the University of Music and Darstellende Kunst. I did this study in ELAC, it's called. It's a computer music and experimental music course, which I can highly recommend. These were my first steps as an electronic musician took place, and after that I had my master in composition in Linz, also a very good Anton Bruckner University. So anyway, the last years for me, that was at the beginning it was really tough on me to teach classical music, because I teach classical singing at the university in Vienna, and like in the mornings I was teaching Handel and Mozart and Haydn and Schoenberg, and in the afternoons I went home and started playing with my synthesizers and doing weird noises with my voice. And also my family was a little bit disturbed. And it took years for myself actually to find out that what I initially thought like two different worlds, I kind of understood this is one world. We all work with sound. So whether if I work at the university teaching, so we try to find the finest sound, obviously, for that area, for that phrase, or whatever we are working on at this moment. And when I work with electronics, it's basically the same. It's just the variety is so much broader, in like the aesthetic variety. I feel I can do what I want in the end. In the classical music, there are rules, much stricter rules. But within that path, it's a much narrower path than in electronic music. It's still fulfilling to dive into the little corners that are still left empty and to dig a little bit deeper. So this is my story, and now I'm here. And my family is fine with me doing what I'm doing, and so this is my story, short. And so I wasn't really sure what exactly makes sense in this place for you here. What you might be interested. So I just start. I just have things prepared, and you maybe let me know whether if I should carry on that path, or maybe there is a question of yours or something like that. Oh yeah, thank you. Wow, much better. So for example, this is a short video. You might know it. I don't know. It's probably some advert will come up right now. Oh, we need a connection.
Okay, but you should choose on your Wi-Fi first, because perhaps it's not chosen yet.
Yes,
Okay,
it's very true.
AM, Academy of Music.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you get it. It should be It should open. Okay, and I
My
write.
login.
I write.
Yes, okay.
Security.
In the
Two-factor.
camera. In the,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
That's good. Two-factor
You
authentication.
know, sometimes
Yes.
when I run the bigger,
Yes,
no,
you-
it was it will be not visible. When I run the bigger,
but on the screen.
wait a minute.
Sorry,
Okay.
internet guys. No fun.
Usually with a bigger, like when I run some, then I start extra line here, you know, with the access for everybody, because it's completely insane. Okay. Prawda, że nie widać? Pisuję.
No, ale login widać.
Success.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
you are a man of success.
Wow.
Oh,
Don't tell me this.
I didn't really, this is not me.
That was the code.
What is it? Coffee, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's
yeah,
good. Keep it.
coffee is always good idea.
We have audio, so that's okay.
So, but before we start with that, so,
Oh.
well, pardon?
No, okay. Okay.
Okay. As an overview, I would like to say just 2 or 3 things about the voice itself. I think it's important to know that the voice is not can't or shouldn't be treated like like a normal instrument. The voice is outstanding in the sense of it's unique. Every voice is unique, so you can't. It's like a fingerprint actually. So it's always totally individual, which might not apply so much to instruments, but we can discuss this obviously. And what I personally think, what's really important when someone is working with voice, is the context where to place and how to place the voice within a composition. Why is that? That is because the voice is always connected or associated with so many things, and one could argue it's the same with piano or it's the same with violin or something. To a certain extent that's true, but especially the voice, because it's inside of us, it's our personality, it's unique. It is something that comes with so many, as I just said, associations that you have to be aware that maybe something comes across in a different way than you have intended to, if that makes any sense to you. And
That has a sense.
obviously you probably know that anyway. But for me, almost all of my compositions consist sometimes entirely of voice. For me, it's still breathtaking, because I fiddle around with some files and try to find a space for them, for the vocal sounds within other files or other sounds. And I find it so interesting how much it changes when I just change such a little tiny thing within the environment, and it's completely differently perceived. And for me, that is so strong that that I had the urge or that I wanted to really emphasize this here in this lecture. And so the next thing I would present this video to you is not so long, for 4 minutes, where you can see like he's presenting different styles of singing and just how does it look like with an MRI scan. So here we go.
Hi, my name's Tyler Ross. I'm a singer, voice teacher, and vocalogist in New York City. And using the magic of MRI technology, I want to show you what it looks like inside my head and neck while I'm singing. But first, let me warm up on a lip trill. How about a raspberry? Weird, right? Want to see that on an vowel? Now, before I go any further, let's try to figure out what it is we're actually seeing here. Let's go back inside and see if we can identify some of the features of the vocal tract. Lips, tongue. This difficult to control piece of anatomy is called the velum or the soft palate, but you can think of it as the nose gate. It opens and closes, controlling the flow of air and sound up into the nasal cavity. In most people, the velum is opening and closing constantly when we speak and sing, and we're barely even aware of it. Down here, we have the larynx, which houses the vocal folds. Now let's see what happens inside the vocal tract when we sing with contrasting singing strategies. I'm going to sing the end of Nessun Dorma, Puccini's great aria. I'm going to sing it in 4 different vocal styles. The first will be in a light mix. The second, in a forward-facing Broadway sound. The third, in a back and down operatic sound. And the fourth, in a style that will make Puccini roll in his grave, in a rock style. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. What you're looking at here are comparative images of the same vowel being sung at the same moment in each vocal style. This is a frozen moment showing my vocal tract singing the E vowel on a high B flat. Now for those of you who are interested, that's the E, as in vincero. Let's listen to it on a loop. Take a moment to see for yourself how the anatomical features of the vocal tract that we can see here align differently in each style. How is the tongue positioned differently? How about the velum? The mouth opening? How about the height of the larynx?
Okay. Any thoughts of your end
Right.
about that?
It's always MRI scans is incredible. It's the same with what it would be also interesting. What is what's going on in your brain in your brain? Yeah,
Yes. Would be
in
very
these
interesting.
styles. Yeah,
Yes.
probably something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different ways, I think.
I mean, it's interesting to see how much actually the changes are inside.
Mm.
And this again, we're at the what's so special with the voice. You can't see the instrument. It changes all the time, and so if we work with voice, we work a lot with pictures, with images or something, or like just have the idea like you smell the roses or something. Everything changes to completely inside. So to get a certain sound with your with your voice. This is my all-day work actually with singers. Like these fine tuning things that you can't see. It's kind of magic. Yeah. So how to get someone open into an open instrument, as we say, like open it, which means like the position is right and you think the right thing, so that everything is ready for the perfect classical sound. This is such fine work. I really enjoy. I have to say that. So and this maybe gives a little bit of an insight how we could work with voice, even as a composer. I think it's the more you know about any kind of instrument, the better you can explain which sounds you're interested in, that your singers produce. And now I have one more thing to add to this, which is an app, and a speech synthesis app. I don't know if you know this. I just want to quickly show you. Pink trombone. Does this mean anything to you? Oh, you know it.
No.
Do you?
No.
But you're working with voices as or you
Not so much, but I know this. Yeah.
yes.
Technology.
Okay. So
It's
this
very
is
impressive.
pink trombone,
Hmm?
and now you have. Well, let me maybe just. So here are the lips. So it's literally we watched the MRI like this, but now we are looking at an app, some like that. You know, so it's so you can go along and change the voice just like we do. Or you can, if you want, you can try. So just it's quite fun playing with me. Or for example with the lip. Yes, you can. So it's aesthetically challenging, maybe. But so I mean, this is basically so I have to turn the sound up because it's fun playing with that. I even have a colleague who did a complete CD with just with the sounds on this app. Okay, just thought I'll let you know about this, and yes, if it's a rainy day, you might want to explore this and have a bit of fun. Yes, so would it be okay for you? I have I had a premiere last year with a music theatre called Black Boxed Voices, and the idea behind this was it's like an interdisciplinary project with obviously with a composition for an acousmonium for 52 speakers and 4 performers, light, design and architecture. So it sounds like too much. One could argue it was a lot of information. But so we had the premiere last November, it's literally exactly a year ago, and for me that was the biggest project I've been working on so far, and I wanted to create a piece where I work with people who don't necessarily are trained singers. I was just interested in their voices in general. What is the quality of their ordinary voice? What makes them unique? What makes them sound in a way that I think that's interesting? This little way, maybe this little thing like they lispel, as we say in Germany. Something you don't intend to do, but it just happens that you speak that way. Or a little bit of a distortion in the voice, which is always present. so this was one thing, and then I wanted to explore the relationship between the performers and the black boxes, saying the loudspeakers. We looked at them as beings. We thought within the process that the speakers are connected to you because they make your voice audible even over long distances, and they have a body. They embody you. You lend your body to the loudspeakers. So thoughts like that, and so we worked over weeks how the body could interact with the speakers, and at the same time we had this visual artist who came to the rehearsals, got a lot of footage from that, and created a video and visuals. You will see soon. I would like to play a little bit of that, and the main thing was it took place in a huge hall, like I don't know, 18 square meters, 800. What am I saying? 800 square meters, roughly 700 or 800, with columns in the middle. So it had this, what can I say, a very, very special atmosphere and a very special acoustics as well. And that was not only a challenge, it was actually a gift, because we played with this acoustic. You couldn't ignore it, you could only implement it into your work. That was challenging but really fun in the end. I can tell a little bit more about that later. So if you're okay, I would like to play you a little bit from this. Mm-hmm. And what you are going to see is, how can I word it? It's a mixture between a documentary, like of the making of, a little bit of that, and of the actual performance. It's like mixed together. So I go via website. Wenn du dich einfach zu der Säule stellst, ich fahre dann nämlich alles runter, okay, und drücke auf Stopp. Okay. Das siehst du genau, dann fange ein neues Pfeil an. Ja, passt. Gut. I forward a little bit because otherwise I think it would be too much.
am here.
it's too long. Do you have any thoughts or any questions?
Very clear. After your introduction, that's quite clear
It's quite
concept
clear.
in space
Yeah.
and all those unique, subtle, single elements.
I mean, a big aim for us was to make sure that we overlap all the time with the architecture, with the performance, with the voices, with the video and things like. We're all connected, kind of thing, more or less, closer or not as close, and yeah, that was a very intense production. But okay, so no questions or anything.
That's good,
fine?
you know. It's just good and clear. So
Yeah, no, it's fine. It is good.
Yeah.
It's good. Okay. So let me think. I have other things. Is there something you would be interested, maybe, like a question about some with the voice or about other projects? I could play you some other stuff, maybe, or.
We will usually in the voice. Sorry, but it was really brilliant. So actually, it's hard to say anything about.
No, actually,
so
I
good
was.
work. But I have one remark. Maybe I was thinking that this kind of let's say deep exploration of relations between sound wave, the materiality of sound, the space, etc. I think this is something which is intuitively sometimes done in let's say underground music, so in industrial or punk, not nowadays, but 20 years ago maybe. So it was something which was made like intuitive performance sometimes, but actually never recognized as an important factor. And now doing that in a very clear way is really impressive, I think.
Yes. That I don't know if I fully understand you. Can.
Yeah, so I think that there are not so many people out of this world of the, let's say, underground sound, I have no better name for now, which has experience from this kind of activities.
Okay.
So when you started talking about, for example, how bringing together different worlds like classical and non-classical, I see this, it really works in this case.
Yes. Yeah, for me, I think for me this is just how it should be for me. You know, I think we are connected. We are connected, and it's just a question whether if we are aware of this or not. And obviously in art, we have a lot of different scenes, and sometimes they don't overlap, although they are so similar sometimes, you know. And I think it's so important that we mix more, just as simple as that. That makes it so rich all of a sudden. All of a sudden we're all rich of experience, of different ideas, different thoughts, different personalities. But then obviously you have to deal with this, you know. It's overwhelming at the same time, really, you know. Interesting what you're saying. I never thought about this, what you just said. But interesting.
I think about that. So you know, if you are in an opera and you want to touch speaker, you cannot do that. You cannot take off your official suit. But if you are in an underground concert, you can just go somewhere, lie on the speakers if you want to, right? So people are doing this, but of course, from the other hand, those people never trying to, or probably nearly never, trying to, let's say, figure out what those experience are means. So they're not trying to build something over them,
Yeah.
and we are building the liminal space between
Yes.
a few environments.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. It's nice to hear. I mean, it was certainly very interesting during the process of rehearsing, because it was like, what can we do? And all of a sudden, after weeks, it got crazier and crazier. Crazier, but more open, and things were possible that we have never thought of, and quite interesting associations came up all of a sudden. We didn't expect that, like body on the body of a loudspeaker. This is really nice to explore. For example, just talking about the performance, but it's talking about the voice. For me, for example, it was important that the voice is not like the main thing, like in opera it normally is. It's the voices are really central, and I think the voices are important, but I think they should be, for me at least, like in some parts they are very present, and sometimes you only hear the sounds that I composed, and no voices whatsoever. They don't have to be everywhere. They don't have to be so present all the time, and for me at least. And I sometimes like to think about the voice more as an instrument, and to more integrate it with the other synthesizer sounds or field recordings or whatever, much rather than trying to put it in front like you have in a band, in every band or something. It's always the voice is the most important thing. For me, it's interesting if it's not, or not all the time, or not so much.
In fact, to be honest, because I can also tell about the context, which is of the festival, but not only the festival, because we are the academy which is a co-producer of the festival, especially on this meetings on the panel. But by coincidence, because I think we should mention, because yesterday we have the rap opera with the singer. Okay, so we use a voice on Audio Art Festival very intensively.
Yes, cool.
So even
Cool.
2 years ago, the title of the festival was Voices and Shadows. And we are referring to different, not only extended vocal techniques, because this is also quite interesting. We had David Mons long ago, and he was during COVID festival. He was singing to us from Berlin on the stream and streaming. But this particular short-term context for me matters very much. In the same evening, we have different spectacles. And Martina, when I put violin, voice, electronics, this is like a keywords, attached to this event. And very simple stories, and I like a final result, which is not exactly what I wrote, because we could expect, okay, Anya, which is a virtuoso, really violin player, running a lot of free improvised stuff, playing and changing different styles, and she was quite aesthetic, coming down like EMM ensemble with key rows, putting the guitar on the horizontal level, and she put the violin on her horizontal plateau like position, because then it makes you working with this instrument completely different. Well, I don't want to say that that's the original story, because it has a background, but this is a very set decision when you are putting the instrument like this.
Sure.
It's also, did you sing on the horizontal position or upside down position, for example? Because that's also a beautiful challenge, to change your head also in the
and a lot of
position.
positions you can.
And I think that this is, I don't want to change the context, but today we have Alex Nowitz, and he had the lecture on Wednesday, showing his vocal techniques, and he will perform today. So for me, this is the concept. We have the post presentation by Martina. We had the pre-presentation by Alex online because he was not here on Wednesday. Now we are getting another day also with very special news of voice.
I would.
And
yeah.
then my conclusion is
Yes.
that the voice was very subtle in a way, like voice as voice. So that was for me that was beautiful, that you are controlling those ambience, those noises, those surfaces, and the proportion between the natural resources, natural for you, they are very much integrated with some other structures.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And in this very context of the evening, after the opera, rap opera, then they are showing up. We have still the program, so I can, because I talk with some people, so since they know Anya, like Rafał Augustyn from Wrocław, for example, they were expecting things which didn't happen. and that's really beautiful
Yeah,
story.
that's beautiful.
You have the story which is completely fresh. So you are sending some message, you are waiting, and it doesn't come, and it comes something completely different, which is really amazing. It's really
It
great.
is, yeah, it is. I mean, I would like to say something about extended vocal techniques, because we just mentioned that.
Uh-huh.
Extended vocal techniques, so we all know what we're talking about, obviously. How should I word this? This is exactly what I said at the beginning. So extended vocal techniques include techniques where the singer is really going like to the edge or on the edge, That's sometimes that's wanted, obviously. What I found interesting, maybe you know this story by Trevor Wishart. I'm sure you're familiar with this name. No, you are. Trevor Wishart,
Yes,
the British composer. And he was an icon, or he is an icon in vocal extended vocal
beautifully
techniques.
politically oriented, which is another story with
Yes,
his
it's true. Yeah,
Protestant
no,
strong.
a fantastic performer, vocal performer. I have seen him live, and amazing. So and there is this story that years ago, because his variety of sounds is so wide, that he could make the weirdest sounds ever, and he realized that the audience sometimes was put off by the way how his facial expression looked like while doing these sounds, that he sometimes tried to perform I think behind a curtain, or maybe just with the back to the audience. I don't know completely. I don't want to tell the wrong story, but in that direction. And this is something I think is very important, that when you, as a composer, if there is someone who wants these extreme sounds, they come with extreme facial and body expression. Is that what's wanted? Sometimes it doesn't really fit, and I think this is then we are on the ground where it just does not work. I don't know if I explain myself clearly enough.
Talking about the way
because
the singer is on stage and the expression.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're talking about aesthetics in the end, because people are. If you see, like if you watch a movie or something and someone is expressing themselves very strongly, it mostly fits the story and everything, because it's prepared and other and you can follow it. And I think there is you have to be very careful. But this is just my personal thoughts about these extreme sounds. They have to be embedded with an extreme situation. From my end, this is what I think. So if there is something really, really, really strong going on, it has to be dealt with with special care. Maybe the environment is totally calm because everybody thinks it's fine and just one person gets it. It's not fine at the moment, and this is audible and visible, so that could work. It could also work like everybody is in an emotional state, and this one singer especially, and even more in a situation that's not bearable. But do I understand? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Say
because I have colleagues.
From my perspective, when I'm sitting not very close to your stage, one to the other, I didn't see what you are doing.
Yes.
So I was concentrated just on music.
Yeah.
I was not watching you. Sometimes I check the stream, and then I see because the stream was very close to all those objects, and then you could observe it.
But I think
it's a very, very delicate and fragile story.
A colleague of mine. She said something, and this made me think. She said she was really an icon in the Viennese scene for experimental voice. Amazing. And she was curious, and she was brave, and she was courageous. She did everything, she was, everything what you do in contemporary music theater these days. She just did it. And then a couple of years ago we went for coffee, and that was at the time when I started doing my things. She kind of backed off slowly. She said no, she doesn't want to do this anymore. And I said, really? This is so interesting. Why don't you're such a star, why don't you want to do this? Must be fun. And she said, I can only say it in German, she said, I don't want to be mich verausgaben, that I don't want to be, I translated in a not such elegant, she didn't want to be the freak anymore. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so we're talking about aesthetics again.
Well, but this is the whole story with the pop stars, which are show up on stage, and they become the property of the whole production of the space.
Yes, but they are only pop stars because they probably authentically are that way. They are what might be crazy, But in a singer who is paid to interpret an opera from someone else, who somebody else composed, that is a different story. This singer might have to use the voice in a way that doesn't really work with the personality of the singer. You know what I mean? This is a different perspective.
I think there is something like, let's say, aesthetics in crisis or under attack, which is a problem with many phases. Yes. One of them is, I think, really related to those extremal methods of doing things. So if you have, for example, performers who do, I don't know, cut hair of himself. It always works, but not because of aesthetics reason, but because of physiological reaction on extremal phenomena. Right. So there is no space for aesthetics now. So this is one problem with radical methods. I think there is another one which is, let's say, connected to weaponization of aesthetics. So, for example, in 20th century, when he was walking on the clouds, that was maybe beautiful, or ugly clouds, that was aesthetic experience. Now you can use shape of the clouds to detect which ammunition was using on the war. So it's not aesthetic anymore, it's a data. There is again no space for aesthetics in this situation. When you mention it, this special position of the voice, human voice, that's not a normal instrument. This is something unique, connect to personality, etc. It's true. It's really hard to actually define how deep this connection is rooted. But of course, nowadays voices are features used to unlock something. Let's say as a password or something. So again, so it's there is aesthetics disappears somewhere. There is again weaponization of some very very deep future. So
Sometimes I think sometimes it does work. Even so, it's as strong and as hard as it might be, or as extreme. I'm not against this, personally speaking. I'm not at all. I mean, I might be shocked by things. That might be the case. But if that's the intention, then, and if it's kind of true, if it's kind of meant, and if it makes sense, it can only be so shocking. And it sounds like shocks me, you know.
But
Then-
I'm a little bit in trouble because you mentioned one person, the Trevor Wishart.
Yes.
If we will just mention, Phil Minton and all those really figures
Yes.
of
Yes.
let's say extended vocal techniques,
Yes.
then of course we can go to the very special aspect, like emotional expression, like intelligence coming from this expression. Either this is very natural or this is really arranged to be like this, and then there are a lot of really advanced spectacles and based on those phenomena.
Yes.
So I think that
So, yeah, that's cool.
I still feel that we are on a very small space running certain things. That's why I hipped up
Yes.
to mention about pop stars, because
Yeah.
this is another
So
story.
just so that I don't that I'm
but
not
there are
misunderstood.
many projects
All
refer
these
to this very
yes.
much.
Yeah. No, I mean.
And then we have avatars. We have
Yeah.
beautiful projects to use it, really, to manipulate with this.
No,
and
it
to
should be
prepare.
it should be broad. It should be colorful, and it should be. Phil Minton, you mentioned, or Ute Wassermann, for example. She does really interesting stuff, or a lot of other colleagues. I admire. I think it's and. For me, this works totally because it's them. This is authentic, totally authentic for me. What they do.
I have a group of
it is their
students
language. It is their
from China,
alphabet.
studying vocal techniques, and they came to me, and then we start to work with Cage Fontana Mix, and in certain moment I want to make a Chinese Beijing opera choir, which doesn't exist. Okay, so I start to work with each of them, explaining them the concept, and it didn't work. And in a certain moment, one of them came to me and said, "Professor, we came from China here to study bel canto and the Italian opera story. This is our focus. You ask us to come back and to be still part of these techniques. We left it. We are now on another story."
It's
and you know what
important.
they did?
Sorry,
What they
Mike.
did?
I have to. I will
sorry.
interrupt you one.
Because I found the solution, in fact.
Pardon you?
I found the solution
Yes.
for them. They were really running
Yeah, that's
something
cool.
really,
That's cool.
really
No,
special.
I don't think that the goal is to make things narrower or something, or not accept certain things. I think we have to open the room and invite everything. But what I think is important is to think at the same time. Think and feel, probably more feel than think. And sometimes you just do something, you try, and just like you said, you tried something and that didn't work. Then you listened to someone and you found a solution, as you just said. And I think this is the same with talking about aesthetics. I think there are always ways you can
in fact, I don't know what we are talking about. That's the problem. A little bit,
Yeah,
because
but I
we are
think there is
speculating about something which I don't see, and
it's hard to catch it, but I think we have
this
something
is nice
that,
also that,
like,
that
for
we are
example,
speculating, we are negotiating about
Metal-
things, and there was only one reference, which was Trevor Wishart. Okay, that I know him, and I know what he.
The
he's
second
done.
reference was my colleague.
Okay,
The third reference is myself.
okay,
And,
that's quite clear.
And
That's why I returned to your
and a lot of
performance.
other vocal colleagues I have, and we talk about these things about I think in my case, because I am a singer,
Mhm.
I see things literally through a different lens than a composer who's just a composer. maybe that's too much. Maybe
Well, but
maybe he
in
sees
sound
things
art we
better
have-
or worse. It's not about that.
We have
But
beautiful
it's-
mixed up in sound art because we left the function of composer, for example. You know, there's an artist again, like in all other cultures and like in all the times. You know, there's a artist which is dealing with those things. So you are the artist, and you are also performer. You are creating your
Yes.
your
Yes, but I'm
your
trying
environment
to say something, and you say it's nothing there. We're negotiating, but I keep on saying and I keep on repeating
You know,
that it's this. Just a second, please.
Okay, sorry.
That these examples that I brought, they are no. I mean, I brought 3 examples, so we just have to come clear here. So I think. What I want to say, maybe I came across not very clearly. There are things that I have in mind when I compose, and there are extreme things which we need in art. Of course, we can't be in a tiny little room, and working on this is beautiful and it's great and it's challenging. That's basically what I want to say. There is nothing to negotiate because it's not more or less. And it's just when you look deeper, you come to kind of to thresholds or not to junctions where you have to make a choice. So where does this lead to? And sometimes we just follow our instinct, or we talk with other people. Exactly, but it's something very very lively, very vibrant, and everything and every sound is welcome. I think that's very important. In case I have made myself not clear enough about that. So voice and vocal sounds are amazing, are unique. Can be extreme. They are welcome to be extreme. They are welcome not to be extreme if chosen, if relevant, if it fits. That's for me. That's the conclusion. And I just allowed myself to go down a path about extreme sounds, what they do with the audience. That's all. That's what I would like to have as a message if necessary. No.
Yeah, but
I
I
just
think
wanted to
well, you know, those people which
Sounds
are coming,
reasonable.
the people which are coming for those concerts are already pre-selected and chosen, so they are coming. And
Right, yeah,
they
this
are
is
open-minded.
yes.
They want to be at Havre. They want to be at Audio Art. So, for example, I have more problem a little bit with the students which are not coming. So I'm sending some messages, and then we have the result like this, for example, you know. And that's perhaps my wrong, you know, arrangement.
Yeah. No.
Maybe.
Not
Well, you don't know. I think that we should talk. Well, the Lorenzo is the only who came today, so he's correct. But okay, I accept it for long time because we have all of us. We are busy and blah blah blah. You know. So but then there are some blocks which are for me extremely important part of the education. I want to talk about those things. You know. And then one of the reaction of one student was, after the festival, I came to class, I asked, so what was how was it? Silence. What was the best project? Silence. Okay, so then I said, well, I gave you these 3 passes, you know, and you didn't use it? Okay, and then one person say, well, Professor, we are waiting that it will be over, then we can come to the regular class. What about this? But then it's like representative of the whole group, in fact, because they didn't show up, so that's why I failed. So then I say, okay, we streamed, we recorded, so then please check it out, because the idea would be to write about this article, because then this year, for the second semester, I've got several articles written by ChatGPT. And then we make contents. And they were quite good. And then we go to another point, in fact. So sometimes I think one is present, to be ready all the time, but in the same time to be flexible as much as possible. Not only because I'm older than they are younger, because the younger generation sometimes they say, oh, you know, those young people, they have other expectations. I think that, no, this is not the story, because once you get connected, it works. So that's my experience. But again, you know, this is the problem with the form of communication and how we send those messages. So of course we do this for the people. Well, Paweł knows about my older series, which was quite intensive. Was called No Audience series. I was running the concert without audience, but they were coming. I was filtering them. I was touching them. We were making the very special arrangement. Then we hide under the audience platform. Again, explaining the main space is empty. We are here. We are hidden. We are under the audience. But there are some special maneuvers for the small, limited group of people. The audience which we've got is just regular audience for this space, and part of them are really familiar with this. They are already educated. Part of them are coming, and perhaps Lorenzo is experienced with many other events also. So you are coming already with your background.
Yeah,
and then this is perhaps the story to come here and to check it out.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to feel my perspective.
Huh?
My perspective, because sometimes it feels that the artist is performing for himself and not for herself, or for herself and not for
the audience.
For the audience. So maybe what she was trying to say is that we have to think what the experience for the viewers can be, and try to I don't know, connect with the viewer. So maybe if there is an expression connected to a sound, it can be I don't know. I mean what's the target of for a performance? I mean, it's a broad spectrum of people, or just people that are expert in the field, for example, audio artist, audio performer, because the perspective is different. I mean, it depends who you want to talk to. I don't know.
No, that's very clear message, Lorenzo. I think that this is just what I said even before when I show up on another meeting, you know, in the middle of the festival, and I brought the big, by coincidence sometimes. Even we are producing those things, there are posters, we are pushing, you know, thing, but we have like 130 festivals in Krakow, for example. So at the same time there are many events going on, and the way that I meet somebody who is coming to another, and he's telling me, "I come today," you know, and they say, "Well, I come to mine. What is the time of your event?" And then we found out that it's different, and we both could visit. For example,
that's nice.
Voila, and that's how we cooperate with Unsound, for example. Paweł, you know, the big festival, and they are so big that they are massive and dominating. But in fact, when you make the agreement, both sides can be satisfied and happy. I'm not focusing for the large audiences. No. I'm just I like and I think that I protect this alternative, you know, stage very much. Otherwise, when we don't do this, we are going to these massive things, and they're just like a large production, which is okay. I have nothing against.
Yeah.
But then there's a missing space, and I feel it exactly from the long time perspective. So
I mean, I think
we should do this, and
it's important to think about the audience. It's also important to not think about the audience sometimes. So
So, you know, the paradox was when I started this, I said, well, we are not serving you what you expect.
yeah,
This is the point. That was
Yeah.
the main point.
Yeah.
Just before KGR we started, you know, there was like a message. So, and we want to stay experimental, extraordinary, outstanding, controversial, you know, boring sometimes. We want to do it. So you are coming for your risk. This is your
coming to that,
decision.
yeah.
We are doing your still for you, but we are not checking what is your expectation, because I know that there's nothing like this in fact.
Yeah.
So if you trust us in this aspect, that we are still fair to what we are doing, then we can meet. And then I opened the door. It was locked. They came
Yeah.
checking what does it mean. Janicki said, no audience concert. Oh my God, what is this? Okay, so that was the message. But then we're just still negotiating on this level. And for me, that was quite interesting how to make this space empty. So I made the concert for 4:33 in the night.
Okay.
There was 12 people performing, nobody came. And then I said, okay, the end of the
Finally,
story.
finally,
Finally I reached it, okay? No, there are
Okay.
many experiments like this. I think that's quite important to be conscious about and to check it out.
Absolutely.
To see ourselves on the other side,
Yeah.
to put the mirror,
Yes.
and then to check whether you are with yourself, in fact, in this point.
Yeah. Well, so thank you.
Yes, thank you very much,
thank
Martina.
you
That was
for
really
the,
great.
for the discussion. Thank you
Please
for the invitation.
you stay with us.
Yes, I stay
No,
with you.
so we have the next show is at 6 o'clock here.
Yes.
We have a really good bar open
That sounds
still
very good.
today, so you can with a beautiful view for Old
Fantastic.
Krakow and also for industrial area from the
Okay,
other
here we
side.
go.
There was yesterday. There were,
Extreme stuff, you
yeah,
know.
those two Canadians came. We met there, and they just chose the second part, looking for the smoke from Elektrociepłownia, you know, because they knew that there's a beautiful. And I said, yeah, such a beautiful, yes.
The biblical
It's beautiful,
view,
and they
yeah,
said, yes,
the-
it's beautiful.
The column
So
of
let's
smoke.
move to another.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that was very refreshing. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And especially, yes, especially the last part. I think I love it. I love this kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
like
We need that, don't
we
we?
try to communicate on that level, because sometimes we are missing a little bit each other, you know. And I think there's a problem with terminology. In many cases with the reference. So all of us, we are coming with certain background. We just get few of your background, you know, just a little. So
It's
that's
true.
why.
It's true.
That's why it's not so easy sometimes to fully communicate. We have to stay a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and then you start to
Yeah,
understand.
it's true.
That's why I told, I don't know whether you were present, Lorenzo, when I was recently in China for 1.5 days. That was really completely
no,
crazy.
wasn't in China.
No idea. Moving there for 22 hours through Qatar Airlines, and then with all this story now going on there around, because Hamas, one of the Hamas government is in Doha. I was landing them, so I was feeding them for 2.5 hours that I'm in the space. Then flying to Hangzhou, and I didn't visit the city. That was so intensive. I have one movie running with the rector and the president of Zhenjiang Conservatory on the small, electric car coming from north campus to the south campus. So there was like 15 minutes. So I have a movie. That was the only, and I was not in the city, in the campus, you know. And then, and that's also a very strong, well, in fact, positive experience, you know, because then you are a little bit like a body moving, you know, like a puppet a little bit, with all those functions. So I feel it, and in fact I like it to be like a because then you have completely different experience. In fact, you are pushed, touched, you know, and the great food. So I recommend you to go upstairs. We can go together for a while, but in fact they're waiting for the second subwoofer. You know what happened yesterday? The subwoofer which I provide didn't work. And there's a I should Lorenzo, you should see the record button on this side on the camera.
And the other one?
Just put to off position. Should be this typical.
Yeah.
Okay.